The sound of a toddler hitting the floor is unmistakable. A dull, heavy thud that travels through floorboards and reaches you before your mind has processed what it means. Then comes the silence, that split second before the cry, and in that silence everything stops. It happened 3 times. The first time, Ryan Beckett was in the kitchen and heard it from the living room. He dropped what he was in his hand and was through the doorway in 4 steps. His 22-month-old son, Caleb, was on the carpet crying, and the German Shepherd was standing over him. Ajax, 4 years old, 92 pounds, a working dog rescue with a working dog's intensity. Always on, always watching, always positioned near wherever Caleb was. Ryan lifted Caleb, checked him. He was crying hard, but nothing hurt. No visible mark. Ryan looked at Ajax. The dog was still standing in the spot, not backing away, watching Caleb with an attention that felt, in that moment, like something Ryan didn't have a word for. He assumed Caleb had fallen. He assumed Ajax had spooked him. He carried Caleb to the sofa and held him until the crying stopped and filed the incident as something to monitor. The second time, his wife Simone was home. She was a nurse practitioner with 11 years in pediatric outpatient care. She heard the same thud, came in from the bedroom, and found Caleb on the carpet with Ajax standing over him. She reached them first. Caleb was dazed. That was the specific word she used when she described it later. Not just post-cry dazed, but preceding cry dazed, as though the crying had taken a moment to arrive. She checked him. Nothing injured. She picked him up. She looked at Ajax. He was staring at Caleb with an expression she recognized from clinical settings and couldn't locate in time to name in the moment. That night she told Ryan, "I don't think he fell." Ryan waited. She said, "I think Ajax knocked him down." Ryan had believed this since the first time. He hadn't said it. Having Simone say it gave it the weight of clinical observation, and that weight landed in a specific way. They had a large, powerful dog with a working background, behaving in a way that looked like aggression toward their toddler. Simone had written clinical notes about exactly this pattern. They both knew what responsible parents did next. They moved Ajax to the laundry room when Caleb was on the floor. Ajax pressed himself against the laundry room door for the entire duration and made a sound neither of them had heard from him before. Low, sustained, the specific frequency of something prevented from completing a task. The third incident happened at 7:40 in the morning. Simone was in the kitchen. Ajax was in the laundry room. Caleb was walking from the living room toward the kitchen. 8 steps, a path he had made hundreds of times. At step 5, he stopped. His eyes went unfocused. His body lost its tone. He began to fall forward. He hit the floor at exactly the moment Ajax hit the laundry room door. Simone was across the kitchen in 3 seconds. Caleb was already crying, the dazed quality preceding the sound again, a gap between the event and the response that was slightly longer than it should have been. She stood in the kitchen, holding her son, one hand against the back of his head, and the laundry room door shuddering with the weight of Ajax, throwing himself against it. She called the pediatric neurology line before she put Caleb down. If you stay for stories about what animals sense before we do, you're in the right place. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Dr. Fenella Osei, pediatric neurologist, saw Caleb within 48 hours. The EEG results took 4 days. Absent seizures, a form of childhood epilepsy in which the brain produces brief, generalized electrical discharges, typically 2 to 15 seconds, during which the child loses postural tone and awareness. They look, to an observer, like a sudden blank stare followed by a fall. They produce no convulsions, no drama. They are, in a child who cannot describe them and a family who doesn't know to look for them, almost perfectly invisible, except to a dog with the right olfactory sensitivity. Absent seizures produce a change in brain chemistry that generates detectable volatile compounds in the breath and sweat. In studies of seizure-alert dogs, animals have been documented detecting these compounds 20 to 45 minutes before a seizure occurs. Ajax had no formal training. He had detected the chemical signal, had moved to Caleb's side, and had, 3 times, intercepted the fall by positioning his body beneath the child so that when Caleb lost postural tone, he came down against the dog rather than the floor. The sound Simone had identified as aggression was Ajax catching a child who was about to hit the ground. Dr. Osei said, "That dog was doing what trained seizure dogs do. He just did it on his own." Has your dog ever done something you couldn't explain until it was the only thing that made sense? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. Ryan opened the laundry room door that evening. Ajax came out and walked directly to Caleb, who was on the playmat. He lay down beside him. Not on him. Beside him. His eyes tracked the boy's movements with the same attention that had read to them as fixation, as obsession, as something wrong in the dog's behavior. It was the most reliable medical monitoring in that house. It had been, for the weeks before the diagnosis, the only monitoring. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never asked for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. Caleb is managing his seizures with medication. The episodes are controlled. He is, by every measure, doing well. Ajax sleeps on the floor of his room every night, positioned near the bed, in the specific spot from which he can be standing in under a second. Ryan and Simone did not ask him to do this. They did not place his bed there. He chose it. The next story is about a golden retriever who kept picking up the same baby toy every morning, and what the family found when they finally understood why. He chose it the same way he had chosen everything in that house. Quietly, without asking, because the child needed someone who was paying attention, and he was already there.